In this video, I'm going to be doing a deep clean and protection on this Audi A4. I'm going to be using the help of some products that have been previously sent to test out, so I'll be giving you my honest thoughts on those as usual throughout the video. The first chemical that I used was G-Technic's W5 Citrus APC, and I mixed up a 1:4 ratio with this in the IK sprayer to pre-wash the wheels. To actually contact clean the wheels, I used two chemicals. So in the bucket, I did just pop a little bit of the ADBL shampoo, and then I also sprayed a 1:4 mix of high definition details, breaking point, wheel and tyre cleaner onto the alloys, and then I also used that product neat on the tyres. This product has quite a thick gel-based formula, which does give it the benefit of a good dwell time, and it's particularly economical when you dilute it down on the alloys, as I did here, but on the tyres I do find that going with it neat is the best option. To kick off the pre-wash process, I again went in with that G-Technic's Citrus at the same 1:4 ratio. It does have a good bit of kick to it, however I don't think it's the strongest Citrus or APC that I've tried. In comparison to something like Green Star that I do use quite frequently, I've found that about double the dilution is needed to get a similar amount of cleaning power, and the product is roughly double the price per mil, so it's not the most economical one that I have in my collection. I then coated the car in a layer of Detail Bug Ice Bug Snow Foam at a 1:15 ratio. A few minutes later, to extend the dwell time of the citrus underneath. Ice Bug is a pH neutral snow foam that does have a really good dwell time to it, so it's perfect for this kind of situation, and it's also really cost effective, particularly when you can use it anywhere between a 1:10 and 1:20 ratio. So for the contact wash, I went with the ADBL pH neutral shampoo. I find that about 40ml of this product in the bucket is about right in terms of the dilution, and it does offer a lot of suds and feels nice and slick and safe on the paintwork too. Although 40ml is a pretty standard amount to be using in a 20 litre bucket, the cost per mil of this product is very competitive, so it is a little bit more economical than you might first expect. Once I'd completed the contact wash, I did go ahead and dry the vehicle off before moving on to the chemical decontamination stage to avoid diluting the product with the water that was on the panels. So the first chemical decontamination product that I did use was High Definition Details Iron Fallout Remover, and this is actually the trade version of that product, although I didn't actually need a trade account to purchase it. So this is a gel-based iron fallout remover which gives it the benefit of having a really long dwell time. And I actually had this on some panels for almost 10 minutes and it didn't even start to dry out at all. It's not the thickest gel in the world, which I was quite pleased about when I used it, as some gel iron fallout removers that I've used previously I've just found to be too thick and it's hard to actually atomise it and get decent coverage. So after rinsing the iron fallout remover off, I did dry the lower sections again off camera before using the tar remover. So the one that I'm using here is by Autoglans and managed to tackle all the tar spots in just a single hit. On the areas where I'd used the tar remover, I did go over the paintwork with the ADBL shampoo just to remove any residue that might have been left behind. The next step of the decontamination process was to clay the car. In order to lubricate the panels, I used P&S Absolute Rinseless Wash. Now they recommend about 1 to 128 dilution of this for this purpose. However, I do like using it a bit more concentrated, so opt for a 1 to 64 ratio. So I went with the Rag Company Ultra Clay Scrubber, and the benefit of using this kind of product is that it can be rinsed and reused. The surface area is also a lot larger, so it doesn't take as long to get around the vehicle. In order to remove any residue from the previous stages, and any contaminants that had been lifted but not collected by the clay pad, I just quickly snow foamed the car again with Detail Bug Ice Bug at 1 to 15 ratio, gave it a couple of minutes to dwell and rinsed it off. Then added some Geon Wet Coat on the wheels just to make them a little bit easier to clean in the future and make them easier to dry. I wasn't going for a full-blown correction on this vehicle. All I wanted to do is gloss up the paintwork and remove any marring from the claying stage. So I did use the G3 Pro all-in-one polish. So this does have some decent cutting ability for this kind of product, particularly if you pair it with a firmer pad. But it also does have some glazing ability and protection built in. I have to admit I probably did overuse this product a little bit as I found it a little bit hard to spread at the beginning. So I made my life a little bit more difficult when it came to buffing off. I also used this polish on the chrome trim, as I did have some staining and it did a really good job at removing that. So I did also top the car with the Soft 99 Kiwami wax. So most of you will be familiar with Soft 99's Fuso coat, and I guess this is kind of like the little brother to that. I actually did a little comparison last year with Fuso and this product, and I didn't find that Kiwami was worlds apart from Fuso in terms of durability, and the water behaviour is just absolutely outstanding as well. Having used it a few times now, I do think it's probably a touch easier to apply than Fuso. I found that 5 minutes was the perfect curing time for it. On the bonnet where I first used it, I did over apply it slightly, so there was a couple of high spots where it was a little bit harder to remove, but nothing that caused any issues whatsoever. And when I went with a thinner layer on the rest of the panels, the product was pretty effortless to remove. On the tyres and trim, I went for Gloss Gummy, which I absolutely love for leaving that really nice satin finish that's just not too distracting. It's very easy to apply, whether that be on tyres or trim, as it has a nice sort of cream consistency, where a little goes a long way, and you don't really have to buff it back to avoid streaks.